7 Types of Narcissism. Narcissistic traits are very popular and common type of personality. We can find many people who are narcissistic in our daily life, either someone popular or not. But don't you know that narcissistic traits comes in several types? There are 7 types of narcissism that you need to know. But keep in mind that narcissistic traits and narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, are different. When narcissistic is a trait, it only the part of someone's personality and don't influence the life in major. In contrast, when it's disorder, it's diagnoses by a professional and can influence someone's life very significantly. NPD is also treated or medicated, while someone with narcissistic traits can change the behavior occasionally. Then, when the therapist work to treat patients with NPD, they have identified 5 possible narcissistic personality disorder types. It's also be strengthened by the study conducted by some researchers who study this personality disorders, and find the similar conclusion. The 7 types of narcissism include overt narcissism, covert narcissism, antagonistic narcissism, communal narcissism, and malignant narcissism. Also, some experts distinguish between adaptive and maladaptive narcissism, the potential 6th and 7th types. Also keep in mind that people with narcissistic traits, by definition, do not have maladaptive narcissism. It is more the key to diagnosing NPD, because for someone with NPD, narcissism influences their life in a significant way and never be considered as adaptive. It can impact in almost every aspect of life including work, school, and relationship. While the adaptive narcissism is like the typical me first, or the world revolves around me, and it's something normal. It's like the typical centeredness shown by teen or children as they are growing up. However, the early signs of narcissism in kids may lead to a diagnosis of NPD in the later, when the kid is 18 years old or above. So here are the 7 types of narcissism you should notice from yourself or someone you know. Overt narcissism. Some people also call overt narcissism as agentic narcissism. This type of narcissism is very obvious from someone with NPD. Someone with overt narcissism usually exhibit the excessive preoccupied with the way others see them. These people often focus overly on something powerful like wealth, status, and flattery due to their sense of entitlement and grandiosity. In the same time, these people also overly need the achievement in order to make themselves feel superpower and deserved. That's why they often be high achieving. Also, they will be deeply sensitive to criticism no matter how slight it is. They will overly focus on perfection every time they accomplish something. Covert narcissism. Covert narcissism is the type of narcissism which is also very classical. It's also known as vulnerable narcissism, but it's not as obvious as the overt narcissism. Just like other people with NPD, someone with covert narcissism also has the strong need of self-importance and really craves admiration from others. Unlike overt narcissism, someone with covert narcissism often display the more subtle and passive negative behaviors, making it less obvious. For instance, to get what they want and make other people focus on them, they will use some tricks like shaming, blaming, manipulation, or emotional neglect instead of bragging about themselves or demanding respect. In certain situations, they also may see themselves as the victim. Antagonistic narcissism. Just like its name, antagonistic narcissism is defined by a sense of arrogance, rivalry, and competitiveness. Generally, people with narcissistic traits are overly concerned with how they appear to others, but someone with antagonistic narcissists are particularly concerned with coming out on top. They always overly attempt to be the top people at work, school, whenever they are. That's why they will never hesitate to exploit others to get ahead and achieve their goal. Sometimes, people with this type of narcissism may put others down or start arguments in order to gain the upper hand or appear dominant. Communal narcissism. Communal narcissism is like the covert narcissism, but they even don't exhibit that they are ego-driven at all. It's perfectly covered by their selfless personality. At least in the beginning they will show the martyr, When they help others or do something for others, however, their internal motivation is not to help, but to get admiration and praise. Also, people with communal narcissism will be jealous when someone else get admiration, even they don't show it obviously. They also often place themselves at the forefront of social causes or communities, including being the leader, or someone who initiate the movement. Moreover, they also often see themselves as the more caring, empathetic or selfless people than others. That's why they also often display moral outrage. Malignant narcissism. For people with NPD, malignant narcissism is the severe or potentially abusive form of this mental health disorder. People with this type of narcissism has the sense of superiority as people with other narcissistic behaviors and will be very egocentric. However, in the same time, they have the traits associated with antisocial personality disorder, ASPD, including lack of empathy, paranoia, and aggression. In certain situations, they may be sadistic. Narcissistic traits and violent crime. When it comes to violent crime, it can be also associated with the narcissistic personality disorder. According to a study, over 21% of inmates in a single prison met the diagnostic criteria for NPD. This type of narcissism is chronic and obvious. The strong feeling of deserving may drive someone with NPD do violation and crime to others. Adaptive narcissism versus maladaptive narcissism. As mentioned earlier, that people with NPD usually have maladaptive narcissism, because the narcissistic traits they have impact significantly in every aspect of their life. That's why it's very important to recognize that not all people who have NPD will act and behave the same way. Maladaptive narcissism is the types of narcissistic traits that negatively affect someone who shows the traits and other people they interact with. Sometimes they will be very well dressed, and could be very charming at the beginning. They are also an excellent overachiever who cultivates a certain image to impress others. Meanwhile, other people with NPD could be an underachiever who sets the low expectations for themselves due to the sense of entitlement. According to the research, the researchers refer to narcissistic traits like a sense of authority and a drive to become self-sufficient as adaptive narcissism. This personality or traits can help someone to succeed in certain aspects in their lives, including work, school, finances and more. That's why there are some popular people with these traits. Do narcissists gaslight? Another very common questions that people want to know is whether narcissists gaslight or manipulating? Remember that anyone can use gaslighting to manipulate other people and achieve their goal. That's why it's not always linked to narcissistic trait or the sign of narcissism. Even people who are not having NPD or this trait can make someone doubt their reality and so some manipulation tricks to get what they want from others. People with NPD may say something hurtful to other people, and when confronted about it, they may also say that they never said that hurtful words or say that you are overreacting. In short, they can gaslight and manipulate others, but they are not the major signs of narcissism.